Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another video. So if you're new here, my name is Nancy. I am a registered nurse working in ICU here in London, and on my channel I like to talk about nursing, about lifestyle, travel and other things as well. So feel free to subscribe and let's get started on this video. I only have a few minutes, like maybe half an hour before I go to the gym, so I thought I would just do this video now. And I want to talk about a typical day in ICU. I've had people asking me what happens in ICU, what do you do when you go in the morning, what kind of medications, how do you do things in ICU, because it can be a challenging environment to work in. And so today I will be telling you guys about a typical day or a dream shift in ICU. So first of all, ICU can be very unpredictable because you're looking after critically ill patients and anything could happen at any time. But even with that, we like to have some systems in place just so we can keep things in order and also be able to accommodate those unpredictable events that may happen. Our shifts start at 8, whether you're doing day shift or night shift. And for me, I like to get to work between 7:40 to 7:50. And that will give me enough time to check the allocation to see which bed space I'm allocated at, and also gives me enough time to change into my scrubs. After that, at 8, everyone goes to their allocated bed spaces. In my unit, we have this thing where we like to do a safety briefing. And a safety briefing is a session where they brief you and tell you about the unit. You will get to know who the consultant for the shift is, the nurse in charge for each side, the floor coordinator who is coordinating admissions and all of that. How many nurses are on shift? How many patients do we have? Level 3s, how many level 2s do we have? Just so you have a clear idea of what's happening in the unit. And for us, this is done through Microsoft Teams software. So each bay opens the session so everyone can see, and then you can see each other as well through the software. And if anyone has questions or some additions, it's done. It's very brief, it takes about 5 minutes. And then after that, everyone goes to their bed space now and does the handover. So you take the handover from the nurse who was looking after the patient on the previous shift, and then you can check things like maybe double check the pupil sizes, especially for neuro patients, check your infusions, check drains and all of that stuff if they have them, if they're on filters, and you check everything, and then they go home. After that, I would don PPE and then start doing my dam dusting and clearing out everything that I don't need, maybe extra pumps or extra stuff that are just lying around, just so your bed space can be organized. And also we do safety checks where you check if you have, like for us, we have to keep 2 extra oxygen cylinders at the bedside in case of emergencies, in case of transfers and all that. Things like your water circuit, check your ventilator, check if everything is connected properly, there are no lines or cables just on the floor. Just make the area tidy. Check the emergency bag if you have your amber bags and if you have your gardels and all of that stuff. And then after that, I do my patient's examination. So for me, I like to do examination using the ABCDE because it's easy. There are people who do head to toe, which is okay as well. Make sure your lines are all in place or in order. Check your infusions. Just make sure that they're actually running at the right rate, the dose is proper, and just double check your stuff. And then after that, I would do my OBS or vital signs. So in ICU, especially if you're looking after level 3, we do our OBS every hour. We are lucky because we do our OBS and everything is done on the computer, and we have a system that most of the time maps. So if you click on the time, then all the OBS will just appear because they are connected, the monitor, the ventilator, and if your patient is on filter. So you just have to acknowledge and then fill in the blanks for those that are not mapping out. I also document what I saw while examining my patient and all of that. Again, in my unit, we have lots of briefings. So For each bay, let's say this bay you have like 5 patients. After everyone does their patient examination and doing their obs, we gather for like 5 minutes and do a quick safety huddle. We call it a safety huddle, where everyone talks about their patient. For instance, this is so and so, they've been here for how many days and this is what they came with. The plan today is this. The targets, maybe they want blood pressure map of 65, they want SATs of this, they want a PO2 of this. And this is important because if this nurse goes for break, then people will know what to watch out for or check the monitors for this patient. Because if you don't do that, then someone goes for break and the monitor suddenly goes off and you're wondering, oh, what did they want? So the safety briefing or the safety huddle for me is really, really important because you know what to watch out for the next patient. Because again, in ICU is teamwork. After the safety briefing, then people will start their breaks. So if like you're 6 in a bay, you can do 2-way or 3-way, so one goes and then you keep an eye on their patients. If there's medication due to be given for them when they are on break, then you do it. Again, like I said, it's teamwork, which I really, really love, and it just makes me feel, you know, you're not alone. So if something happens, there are other people in the bay. So if you're new especially, that gives you a sense of I'm not alone, you know. If something happens, then I just have to ask the person next to me or another person in the bay. So we start breaks after that. So we usually have a morning break or a breakfast or a dinner break depending on which shift you're working. And you can always decide, some people like to go fast, others like me like to go last. So it depends really on how busy every person is in the day. And also, you will be checking what medication your patient has. So unlike in the wards, for ICU, the drugs are prescribed per patient. So you will find this patient this time has medication at 9, they have another one at 10, or they have another one at 11 something. And it's not like in the ward where you can do morning, lunch, and dinner medication. So make sure you check your drug chart, check if you have the required medications in there. And at the same time, something I forgot to say earlier when I was dusting and clearing everything, I also like to check my bedside drawers to make sure I have enough syringes and needles and giving sets and all of that stuff that you could use during your shift. So like I said, for medication, you're going to be administering your medication. You also have infusions, like in ICU, especially if you have a level 3 patient who may be sedated. You will need things like Prop 4 or fentanyl. Just check and make sure that before you go for break, at least you have some extras at the back. So in case the Prop 4 finishes when you're on break, the nurse covering for you will just take the syringe and switch. Okay, we do arterial blood gases or ABGs, where you just take a blood sample and analyze it in the machine. Usually we have it in the bay or just nearby in the unit. And then it's your responsibility to check and see what's the PO2 for this patient. Do I need to make adjustments on the ventilator? What's their pH, their CO2? If they're acidotic, then you know what you're gonna do with the ventilator. If you're not comfortable, ask someone or ask the doctors what changes they may want to be done to that. Also things like potassium levels or calcium, they're already prescribed, so you check, and if they're below the normal, then you just top up. During that time as well, the doctors may be going around, so you guys discuss what's going on with the patient, what plan do they want. They will do their exam and do their documentation as well. And then we also have the other members of the MDT, the physios, the dietitian. Maybe if your patient is neuro, the neuro team will come and review the patient. If it's a surgical patient, they will come, cardiac and all of that. So you are gonna be working together with other people to ensure the best care for this patient. So that will also happen at different times depending on everybody's schedule. There are days that may be busy. Maybe your patient is scheduled to go for a CT or an MRI. MRI are scheduled in specific days. So when you get there in the morning, you will be knowing whether your patient is going for a for MRI. But CTs can be scheduled or they can happen like in an emergency where maybe someone just drops their GCS, they're not waking up, and then they decide to do a CT scan. So that's gonna be an emergency. If it's a level 3 patient or a really sick patient, you will go together with the doctor. Otherwise, you call the porter and then you go down with the patient, okay? But we always pray nothing like that to happen during the shift. And then during this time, you're also doing your obs. Like I said, they are hourly. If you're doing day shift, you go for your lunch break. If it's night, you go for your other break, which is usually a little bit longer so people can get more rest. Something I haven't mentioned is about repositioning or rolling the patient. So we do that at least 4 hourly and maybe more frequently depending on the patient. We may also have like really sick patients that are critically ill that the doctor will just say, no, don't roll this patient for this amount of time, but that will usually be documented. I know sometimes pressure sores can't be avoided, but at least we still try and do our best. We have mouth care packs where we do mouth care frequently, especially for the sedated patients. You don't want their mouth drying up and getting bad odor. You have to clean them or brush their teeth. Eye care is important as well. So we have all those different kinds of care. If you have time, you can do hair care for your patient as well. Just make sure your patient looks nice and clean and neat. In the evening, for day shifts, you have another break, another evening break, just before you go home. People really try and make time for breaks because I think breaks are really important, because if you just work continuously for like 6 hours without taking a break, you're not gonna be very productive. So we have another break in the evening as well. And then for morning or for night shift, we do have like a small tea or coffee break in the morning where you just go get some tea or some coffee, freshen up, and then go back. So after that, it's usually around 8 o'clock where the other team is gonna come in, and then you do your handover and yay, the shift is done. And then you go home. That's usually my best moment. And even if I'm doing night, there's this energy that just comes up. And a lot of the times, especially from night shift, I end up going to the gym because I'm so energetic. And like around 5 in the morning, I was like, oh, I'm so tired. But then at 8 o'clock, I'm like, yay, it's time to go home, and I have so much energy. That is just a summary of what would be expected to happen in an ICU shift. I hope this gives some idea for those of you who are interested in coming to work in ICU. Please leave a comment, like, share, and all of that, because they are really gonna help me to grow this channel. So thank you guys so much. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.